Well, hello once again, everybody, and welcome back to Drawing to Learn Anatomy with Khoa. My name is Khoa Nguyen, lecturer of anatomy, physiology, and medical terminology, and today we will be looking at and drawing out the branches of the celiac trunk. So now, the video about the celiac trunk is actually going to be divided into two parts, and this is going to be part one of it. And in this part one, we will be looking at the arterial branches of the celiac trunk that go to and supply the four organs of the foregut. And those four organs are going to be the liver, the gallbladder, the stomach, and finally the spleen. All right, so now a couple of disclaimers that we are going to have before the video begins. Number one, you're going to need two pens for this. Pen number one is going to be either a black pen or a blue pen. And this pen is all going to be about the structures of the foregut, okay? Like, for example, the liver, the stomach, etc. And for the second pen, you will need a red pen. The red pen is for the arterial branches, all right? And we will use this red pen in order to draw out the branches of the aorta, as well as the celiac trunk, as well as its branches, all right? Okay. The second disclaimer is that I will try to draw as slowly as I can so that you guys can follow along with me, and we'll be able to go through all of these foregut organs together and the arterial supply to them. But if you guys ever find out that this video is moving way too fast, don't worry. Just hit the pause button on your YouTube, catch up with my drawing, and then we can continue forward together. All right? Okay, last one. Anatomical variation is a thing, all right? Not everyone is going to have these branches exactly the way it is in this drawing, okay? But I'll try my best to provide you guys with the most common variations of these arterial branches, all right? But please do not expect that everybody's celiac trunks is going to be the same. They're not going to be, all right? Okay. So with those three disclaimers out of the way, let's draw out some organs. First, let's start off with a triangle. That's right. And this triangle is going to represent the liver. Okay, and let's draw it over here on the left side of your screen, which is in the human body, the right side of the patient, okay, that you are going to look at as if they are your mirror image. And therefore, the liver is going to be lying on the left side of the screen, but the right side of the patient, okay? Now, we'll draw out this distal part of the esophagus, the part that goes through the diaphragm to go into the abdominal cavity. And from that last part of the esophagus, you would use two C-curves, this one and this one, to represent the lesser and the greater curvature of the stomach. And then after that, you will go ahead and draw out the duodenum using another two C-curves like this. And you will draw the duodenum all the way to the junction where it connects with the jejunum, also called the duodenal-jejunal flexure here, okay? And then you will draw out the spleen. Now, notice in the human body, the spleen actually is very, very close to the stomach, okay? It's very, very close to the stomach. But in this drawing, because if we leave the spleen very close to the stomach like this, then the branches of arteries that goes from the splenic arteries to the spleen and then curving along the greater curvature of the stomach are going to be so close together that you cannot distinguish them. So, because of that fact, we will do a little bit of an unanatomical drawing here and leave the spleen right here where it is, okay? Now, you will notice that we'll draw the liver the same way, okay? We'll draw the liver in the same way. It's going to be a little bit distant from the stomach. In reality, the stomach would be sitting just right here, all right? And the duodenum will be sitting just right here, and they both leave indentations on the liver. But we're not going to draw it like this, okay? Because it's not going to be anatomical because we're looking at the arterial branches, okay? So now, This organ that we are going to draw next is going to be the pancreas, and the pancreas is associated very closely with the descending part of the duodenum, and therefore we will draw it like this, just like a little S-shaped curve right here, eventually getting a little bit more back at the back of the stomach like this, and then extending over here and pointing towards the splenic hilum. So that's the pancreas. All right. So now, finally, we are going to draw this pouch here on the underside of the liver, which is the gallbladder. This part that we just drew is the fundus of the gallbladder. And we'll continue that over here, okay, connecting it with the body, the neck, and then to the proximal part of the cystic duct. All right. Okay, so now let's switch pens. We are going to go ahead and draw out the branches of the celiac trunk. And the branches of the celiac trunk is going to begin first by drawing out the aorta. The aorta is a retroperitoneal structure. It is also the most posterior of all of the structures that we drew here. Okay, so we are going to need to draw it as two dashed lines. Okay, so this is going to be the abdominal aorta. Now, the abdominal aorta is going to pierce the diaphragm at the aortic hiatus to go into the abdomen at the level of T12. Now, at the level of T12, it also gives off this branch here. Okay, so let's say that this is the level of T12. Okay, so at the level of T12, it's going to give off this branch of artery. And this branch of artery is going to be called the celiac trunk. Okay, and the celiac trunk is a very, very small stump of artery. Okay, it's not very long because after it divided from the abdominal aorta, it immediately is going to split into three branches. Okay, and those three branches are going to be, number one, there is going to be a splenic artery that goes to the spleen, like this. Okay, it's going to course all the way to the spleen, like that. And then there will be a common hepatic artery that goes to the right, like this. All right, and then after that, there will be a smaller branch that also branch out from the celiac trunk. Okay, this branch is called the left gastric artery, and the left gastric artery is going to course alongside here at the lesser curvature of the stomach. And also, because it has a kind heart, the left gastric artery also gives off a branch that goes up here, okay, to the distal esophagus and supply the distal esophagus as well. So now let's name these branches here in our diagram. This one is the left gastric artery. Okay, this one is the splenic artery that goes to the left. And this one is the common hepatic artery that goes to the right. All right, so now let's talk about the arterial supply of the spleen first. Okay, just like we said before, the splenic artery is going to go to the spleen, and it's going to split off into a couple of branches when it gets to the hilum of the spleen, like this, to feed the spleen. And therefore, that's one organ down. The splenic artery is going to supply the spleen. Pretty easy, huh? All right, next up. The common hepatic artery, we'll talk about the liver now. The common hepatic artery is going to divide into two. One branch is going up like this. The other one's going down like this. Okay? Now, the one that's going down is called the gastroduodenal artery. And beside from one branch that we are talking about, that comes from the gastroduodenal artery in this video, we are not going to explore this artery further in this video. All right? But we are going to explore the branch that goes up. And this branch is called the hepatic artery proper. So, the common hepatic artery is going to split into the hepatic artery proper that goes up and the gastroduodenal artery that goes down. Okay? Now, from the hepatic artery proper, two branches are going to emerge. Number one, going here into the liver on the right side. One going over here into the liver from the left side. The one that goes into the liver from the right side is the right hepatic artery. And the one that goes into the liver from the left side is, of course, you guessed it, the left hepatic artery. Okay, and those arteries going to go into the liver and branch out in order to get their blood into each of the segments of the liver and even beyond that, okay, to feed the parenchyma of the liver. So now, from the right hepatic artery, you also have a branch of artery that's going to go out like this, okay, and it's going to go into the proximal cystic duct and the gallbladder and feed those organs. All right. And you call this branch of artery the cystic artery because it goes to the gallbladder and help feed the gallbladder. Okay, cystic artery. And then finally, remember that we talked about the left gastric artery. Okay, now we're talking about further branches that goes to the stomach and supply the stomach. Remember, the stomach has two curvatures, the lesser curvature, okay, which is this one, and the greater curvature, which is this one. So now we are going to have a couple of arteries that goes to each of these curvatures. Number one, the left gastric artery is going to go up here like this and supply the more superior part of the lesser curvature. But now, what goes down here, right? So now, from the hepatic artery proper, there's going to be a branch of artery that is going to run like this. Okay, it's going to run like that, going through here, and running along the lower part of the lesser curvature until it anastomoses with the left gastric artery. So you call that thing the right gastric artery. Okay, the right gastric artery. So the left gastric artery and the right gastric artery are both coursing within the lesser omentum, and they course along the lesser curvature of the stomach. Okay, now remember that we talk about the gastroduodenal artery over here. Okay, one branch that comes out from the gastroduodenal artery is going to go over here like this. All right, and what it's going to do is that it's going to course alongside of the greater curvature of the stomach like this. Okay, along the inferior part of the greater curvature, and you call that the right gastro-omental artery, also called the right gastro-epiploic artery. These two names are one the same. All right, so now we need one more artery up here, right? So that one artery comes from actually the splenic artery right here. The splenic artery is going to give off this branch here that's going to go down and anastomose with the right gastro-omental artery. We call that one the left gastro-omental or the left gastro-epiploic artery. All right, these two names are one and the same once again. Okay, but now we have a problem. What problem is that? This entire region of the stomach has not really been fed yet, has not really been supplied by any blood vessel yet, right? All right, so now the splenic artery takes care of that too. It's going to give off some branches that goes up here and feed this portion. Okay, one of them, two of them, maybe three of them like this. All right, so those things, okay, those branches are going to be called a short gastric artery. Okay, short gastric arteries, more like, because there are more than one of them. Okay, so the short gastric artery is going to feed that portion of the stomach around the fundus portion, the upper part of the body that's next to the greater curvature. Sometimes you will also see an artery that comes out of the splenic artery right here into the back of the stomach and feed it there. All right, so that is going to be the blood supply of the stomach from the celiac trunk. All right, okay, so that is all for this video, guys. In this video, we have looked at the blood supply for the liver, gallbladder, stomach, and spleen from the celiac trunk, Thank you very, very much for sticking with me so far. If you guys like this video, please press the like button so that I am recognized by the YouTube algorithm. And please subscribe if you find these contents to be useful to you and you want to keep up with more of them in the future. My name is Khoa, lecturer of anatomy, physiology, and medical terminology, and I will hope to see you in the next video in the series of Drawing to Learn Anatomy with Khoa. Bye-bye.